Welcome to Food News and Chews, and it's summertime and the grilling is easy. Promise, I'll stop.
Well, you know, it is grill season, and, you know, appropriately so, we have our great sponsors, the Critchfield guys, who are going to be showing us a little bit of Meat 101, and I've got a cool recipe for marinades, too. It's going to use moonshine and, you know, sorghum and all kinds of Kentucky ingredients. A great thing for the grill. And then we have our typical food news, too, about some big topics.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
Today's shoppers are informed. When shopping for the family meal, today's shopper chooses Critchfield Meats for fresh, all-natural quality meats guaranteed. Make the right choice and visit our family before you feed yours. Critchfield Meats, the meat specialist, family owned and operated since 1969. That's a grade A choice, folks.
From concessions to festivals, bingo halls to daycare facilities, Seaworth Superstore is Kentucky's largest dealer for all your weekend kitchen or mobile kitchen supply needs. From popcorn to snow cone machines, we have the largest selection of new and used equipment with warranties to help keep your mobile food truck or weekend event going strong. That's Seaworth Superstore for Sales Road, Lexington. That's Seaworth Superstore, putting the Kentucky workforce back to work.
Why do chefs choose Lyons Farm beef?
It's consistent, it's delicious, it's got great tenderness, and it's really good for you. This nutritional element of making healthy animals for healthy eating is a big component about why their beef is so delicious. I feel so lucky to be a chef in Kentucky because the best way to express care for someone is to make them something to eat, and I get to do that every single day.
Lyons Farm beef, available at Critchfield Meats and LyonsFarm.com.
Welcome back to Food News and Chews, and we are dedicating this like this is a Father's Day kind of pre-Father's Day.
Father's Day, the grill's hot, the guys got to get out there and grill. That's what guys do. Oh, well, we just love turning meat, turning meat on the grill.
And I love having the Critchfield brothers. They are so cool.
Great.
Okay, I thought we'd do on Food News this week, and next week we do like a two-part series. That fine journalistic skill that we acquired in those fine journalistics. Anyway, 2 parts here. And we really kind of picked up on this at Symposium. And there's 2 major issues that's going on out there as we try to feed 9 billion people by the year 2050, not to mention our own families. And it's all about technology, GMOs, the raging controversy with Monsanto, and secondly, how we're going to source our food. We'll do that next week. But first of all, we're going to deal with some technology issues, aren't we, Jeremy?
Well, technology seems to be what is necessary to feed the growing population. And more it seems like the United States is responsible for outsourcing and growing a lot of food. We have an excess here, but getting the food to other people in other countries is one thing that we have to do, or one thing we're using to do to outsource and create an economy. But technology in agriculture seems to be a good thing, except when we get it a little bit crossed with too much Frankenfood and science.
GMOs, otherwise known as GMOs, and what's become the personification of evil, corporate evil, is Monsanto, whether deserved or not.
Right, and they have actually done a lot of things that would deserve that in a lot of people's opinions. When you mess with things and do a genetically modified organism, a lot of times it seems kind of harmless, because you're actually do a selective breeding. But, they also have done things, and we're kind of for the farmer, really. I like to see farmers be able to do things to feed a lot of people and do it efficiently. But when you talk about GMOs that they won't grow the next year, I think a corporation it's in its best interest is trying to control the food population and not trying to help feed more people. They're trying to actually have their seed rebought
Yeah.
And it
well,
won't,
they're getting in trouble because the farmers are going back to using pesticides because little old rootworms, those little have figured out a way to live, right?
Well, they're
Nature
trying to
loves
make
them.
food indestructible from maybe insects, and that's just not going to happen because, as we all know, these little organisms are going to find a way to eat
Real
these
smart,
bugs.
these bugs.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's just
rootworms.
how it's going to work. So you create more, bigger cross strains of food. You go into pesticides, which we found are pretty harmful to people.
Here's another angle, and I know you're really into this because you're really into the heirloom seed movement.
Well, sure.
They're not pretty, those tomatoes. They're real gnarly and stuff, but technology created a tomato that was redder, not more nutritious or it was prettier.
That was the
And that's
least
really-
concern that they had
Yeah.
when they created this tomato. It was supposed to transport well, be pulled off the vine way earlier, not develop the nutrients it needed, not develop any flavor.
Yeah.
They know that the
Full of
consumer is going to go
nature.
into the grocery and find the biggest, prettiest red picture-like
taught them
tomato,
to do
and that's
that.
what they're going to buy.
Yeah. But you're counter teaching
Counter-teaching, well, I think that...
about heirlooms and stuff.
Yeah, well, heirlooms are some pretty funky-looking organisms.
they're kinda
and I know
cool,
it's
though.
hard to because you look at the organic
Yeah.
section and vegetables there have little blotches and patches on them, and you look right down the road, anything that's been used pesticides on it are going to look better, and they've got.
But we can teach people that looking better, and I think people are getting into that. Authenticity is why the Critchfields are great people.
Mm-hmm.
It's authenticity and how you really come across with a tomato that's got a few warts on it better. That's why I love it, because I have lots of warts on me. Maybe people will like me.
Right. So there's still a lot of confusion. We still don't have all the information out there,
Yeah.
but I think
But it's evolving.
the more we go down this path that we really start messing with our food, the farther the more we're finding is we should have just stayed with the original.
And maybe this movement will bring us back. The other issue is fertilizer. We're dumping tons and tons of it on to grow corn, basically, and ignoring what people like Wendell Berry taught us, that you have to do rotation of crops and you have to do a lot of things to cooperate with nature. So anyway, that's part one. And next week we're going to do sourcing of food, because the so-called pig robbery, the big pig robbery and the buyout of Smithfield by the Chinese.
That has a lot of implications that need to be talked about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about other things as well, but we wanted to just really focus on those things, like how in Germany they're selling coffee now by the time you spend, not the coffee.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you love that? Or how craft beer, check out our website at foodnewsandchews.com and hear us talking about craft beer, and local isn't always as it appears. But we'll be back after break. And with the Critchfield brothers, we're here at Denger's, and they sell some really cool stuff. We'll talk about that. And we'll
And
be
some
right
grilling.
back. Yeah, we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Bob. Recently, I switched my business phone service to Glow Telecom. Now I'm saving over 50% on my monthly phone bills, over $2,000 a year. And I have a PBX phone system that would have cost me over $10,000. Unlimited calling to the US and Canada with no long distance charges. If you want to put money back in your wallet, call Glow Telecom today.
Call Glow Telecom at 888-428-0984. 888-428-0984.
Worldly influenced, locally inspired. Azure Restaurant and Patio, contemporary fine dining in a relaxed atmosphere right here in Lexington. Modern award-winning dishes with a distinctive Kentucky twist from the mind of nationally recognized chef Jeremy Ashby. Voted best fine dining in Lexington. Azure is chef-created, chef-driven, and Kentucky proud since day one. Taste something unique at Azure Restaurant and Patio, Beaumont Center in Lexington. And see Chef Jeremy Ashby and Sylvia Lovely on the Food News and Chews, Sunday night at 11 on Fox 56.
Today's shoppers are informed. When shopping for the family meal, today's shopper chooses Critchfield Meats for fresh, all-natural quality meats guaranteed. Make the right choice and visit our family before you feed yours. Critchfield Meats, the meat specialist, family owned and operated since 1969. That's a great A choice, folks.
Advertise your product or service on shows like this one. Contact Media 7 Broadcasting today. Call 859-317-4565 or email sales@m7bg.com. Reach potential new customers in the Louisville, Lexington, and other central Kentucky areas. Get your new ad produced for free by Media 7's audio and video professionals. Call 859-317-4565 today and let Media 7 create a marketing plan for you.
Welcome to Food News and Chews, and besides being here at Dinger's Hearth Patio and Grill Center,
yes, right,
and we have right next to a big hot grill.
I've got a monster grill out here. This guy's it's up at the 900 degrees in about 5 minutes, so it's
we
right.
Get over there
my
quick.
style, yeah.
But first of all, we've got a very special guest. He's better than a grill.
Yes, well, our friend and also good worker here, Mark Critchfield from Critchfield Meats.
Yeah.
You know, they service the restaurant, they service the community. It's an amazing place. Plus, it's a classic butcher shop. You know, you can actually have the premise where you can go for the retail side and actually pick your steaks, talk to somebody that's an expert
who knows about them. Yeah, and chocolate drops. Don't forget those wonderful.
Well, there's a full selection of Kentucky Proud.
Oh yeah, I mean the shelves are just filled with it. I find myself in there for hours just looking around. But yeah, great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
And we want to do Meat 101.
Well, that's a good topic. I think I had that in culinary school, but that was like 15 years ago. And nowadays,
here's the teacher.
Yeah, that's
here's who's going to teach us.
I'll do what I can.
Yeah. First of all, tell us about Critchfield's. What you got going on this summer? You got 2 or 3 events going.
We started back second week of April. Every Friday from 11 to 2, we do our family cookout. We do our chicken breast, ribeyes, hamburger, and hot dogs.
Oh, tell us about that hot dog. You were telling us off camera.
It's the best hot dog you ever put in your mouth. It's a quarter-pound beef hot dog. Yeah, it's a big
4x1 hot dog, quarter-pound hot dog. That's great.
Hungry.
That's awesome.
Of course, we're known for those ribeye sandwiches, and then
that's the one I get every time, you know.
And we'll do a similar event in August with some live music and stuff. Our annual cookout that we'll do in August as well.
And that's at the store as well in Zandale.
That'll be at the end of August, right before probably the UK football season starts. Yeah.
It's interesting to me, and I think you should talk about it a little bit. It's not just a butcher shop, but it's a butcher shop with lots of other stuff too. And I mentioned the chocolate drops, but that's the least of stuff. So,
well, we're probably 90% protein is what we sell, but we do make made for scratch homemade desserts and sides like beer cheese, olive nuts, bread, quiches, cakes.
Oh, just the shelves are filled.
Jam cake, fruit cakes, what we're known for. And we do have a lot of the Kentucky Proud items, some regional favorites, that you can't find elsewhere.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's the start of the summer. It's around Father's Day. You got to fire up the grill. It's kind of like a grilling headquarters over there because you can go out and pick out a couple good steaks. Some Lyons Farm steaks. You got great pork, great meat. People that know what they're talking about, and then homemade stuff. We got that's a big thing for me. Is a lot of times on the weekends I don't want to cook anymore.
Yeah, you can go into Critchfield.
Go into Critchfield. I know I'm going to get homemade sides,
pies.
Yeah, and good desserts. And all I got to do is fire up the grill and go, and it's good.
Hey, this show is going to air on Father's Day a week before, so you're like the grand poo-poo father here, okay?
I got 5 of them.
All right. So anyway, we're going to have, there's a couple of issues going on out there, and I want you and Jeremy to comment on these because they impact on the food that we're selling and serving. And one of them is the drought, and the other one is this big giant, and we just covered this in Food News, is the whole China Gate thing where, they're selling Smithfields. I'm boiling down to the issue of knowing where your food comes from and coming in and talking to an authentic butcher, local kind of folks. And so I want you two to kind of expound on that a little bit because those are big, important, looming issues out there, the drought and the whole China sale, the sourcing of food.
Well, you are seeing your beef prices are escalating right now, and Father's Day is the second biggest grilling out weekend of the summer other than 4th of July. So, I mean...
yeah, that drought, I think Mark would agree. We're just now seeing the effects of last year's drought. We're probably going to see the effects for several years to come because grain production doesn't just come back overnight. You can get your reservoirs up again, but for the most part, we are, like you said, we're entering grill season. So not only are beef prices and other prices up because, of drought, but also the demand is up. So at the start of the summer, you're going to see a little higher beef prices.
And it doesn't matter whether it's here, because right now we're getting a lot of rain.
Right.
But yeah,
you
got to think about gas too.
Yeah. This not only goes back to last year's drought, it actually goes back to 2007, 2008, when the prices of grain were going up and fuel was going up. So people were reducing their cow herds back then, and that would have escalated prices back then. But what happened, the recession hit, so the demand went down. So it kept prices down. So now the economy is starting to recover a little bit. The demand's up, but there's nobody increased their herds. And
right.
it takes 3 years from a pregnant cow to get on your
get
plate,
to the plate.
basically.
Oh, well,
Right,
that is
so
a thing.
we're going to be dealing with this for the next 3 to 5 years too. And then we also see other economies like China and other places that are buying more American
Yeah, so
produced
it's a mixed
food.
bag, isn't it?
Well, one thing that's really put a hurting on the corn market now, the farmers are happy because the U.S. government is buying up about 27% of the grain market for ethanol.
Oh,
So
that's a
they're
big
helping
issue.
keep
Yeah.
gasoline prices down, but it's hitting you in your pocketbook when you go
Well,
to the grocery store.
Hey, and we're going to talk about, when you guys get over to the grill, we're going to talk about a little bit of the difference between grain and grass-fed and all that. But for right now, we're closing this segment, an interview with Mr. Critchfield here. Father Critchfield.
Yeah, and I got a great little marinade with moonshine and some sorghum I want to do for some pork chops and some steak.
All right,
Awesome.
let's
Sounds
go to
great.
the grill. We'll be back after break.
Now, the award-winning dishes enjoyed at Azure Restaurant and Patio can be featured at your next event when you order from Azure Catering. Our services include menu planning with our amazing food, event site location, rental equipment, linens, event staffing, and seeing to every last detail of your wedding, special event, or corporate event. Visit AzureCateringKY.com or call 859-327-7125 to start customizing your menu today. From concessions to festivals, bingo halls to daycare facilities, Seaworth Superstore is Kentucky's largest dealer for all your weekend kitchen or mobile kitchen supply needs. From popcorn to snow cone machines, we have the largest selection of new and used equipment with warranties to help keep your mobile food truck or weekend event going strong. That's Seaworth Superstore for Sales Road, Lexington. That's Seaworth Superstore, putting the Kentucky workforce back to work.
Today's shoppers are informed. When shopping for the family meal, today's shopper chooses Critchfield Meats for fresh, all-natural quality meats guaranteed. Make the right choice and visit our family before you feed yours. Critchfield Meats, the meat specialist, family owned and operated since 1969. That's a great A choice, folks.
I stand between two meat masters.
That's right. This guy knows far more about grilling meat than I ever will. But anyway, I do have a recipe I wanted to share with everybody. And I think it's kind of a neat recipe to have in Kentucky. It's got a lot of Kentucky ingredients, but you know, it's unique because when you put it on the grill, it really takes on a smoky flavor that, you know, a lot of people get out of smoking meats, you know, which is long, slow process. But if you whip this marinade together kind of quickly, let it marinate for
Lots of
4 to
things.
6 hours, even overnight, you're going to get that really nice, slow smoke flavor. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're using Kentucky sorghum. And just the, you know, sorghum, not molasses too, is great. It's, you know, from you know, it's a Kentucky
Hartford.
product.
Yeah, Western Kentucky.
And I like to use a decent amount of this. This is what kind of, when you hit it on the grill, gives it that caramelization and creates that smoke on the
Ooh, I
grill,
bet
right?
that is good.
The other thing, so I can do about 3/4 of a cup of that. It's no joke.
But did you want me to taste that moonshine before you use
Right.
it?
Now the other thing is this is also a Kentucky product, and it may be hard to find. If you can't find, or your bootlegger is out of moonshine,
Check with Jeremy.
then don't check with me. I don't know anything
Mark,
about
you got
that.
any of that on the shelves?
I wouldn't say.
But a little bit of Kentucky bourbon.
Keep it in the background.
Yeah, there you go.
Kentucky bourbon will do fine, but if you got the moonshine, go for it. The apple pie is especially delicious in this, so about 3/4 a cup of moonshine or bourbon too is good. Now, unique ingredient for this is tomato juice. You don't really see tomato juice or tomato sauce in a lot of marinades. It's usually more vinegars and spice based. This is what kind of gives it some really neat earthy complexities to it. So tomato juice goes in there. And then the brightness we get from lemon juice. It's a juice of about 8 lemons in there.
You're going to post this, right? Because I'm.
Yeah, in fact, if you want all the amounts, we're going to give those to you, but you got to go to foodnewsandchews.com to get the recipe. That's part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
So sherry vinegar, another one that you can find pretty common nowadays. Was hard to find a little while ago, but now find it at most grocery stores. Then mustard. I'm using yellow mustard here because you know, I had it available, but you can use Dijon, you can use a Creole mustard. A Creole mustard is especially nice in this.
Is this just plain yellow?
Just plain old yellow mustard, hot dog mustard, you know, the classic.
Yeah, like on that hot dog you
There you
talked
go.
about.
Lots of fresh garlic in there. And then this is fresh grated ginger. The dried stuff just won't cut it. This is actually kind of spicy. A lot of people, sometimes with this recipe, I'll add a chipotle pepper to this or some cayenne. But I find that, you know, if we just want to kind of ease into this recipe, you know, fresh grated ginger does just fine. Same here with lime zest, orange zest. Then we get
How did you ever
nutmeg.
figure this out?
Nutmeg, which is kind of interesting for meats, right? And then some thyme. And really, that's it. We're going to whisk it together. And if you notice, it's kind of darker than most marinades. It really does impart. And the acids like that lemon juice and sherry vinegar.
Ooh, that smells good.
How'd you come up with this? Just playing around with it?
Yeah, well, actually, it's kind of a rendition of a recipe that I used to do, or I learned from another chef. And, you know, once we take those recipes, you transplant it back home in Kentucky, start using the ingredients that are around you, it really kind of transformed into something neat. And I just noticed it like, hey, if you want that smoky, awesome grill flavor without all that long, slow cooking, smoking process, this is the one I use. So anyway, we got a French pork chop. This is, you know, the pork chop from Critchfield Meats. It's great. It's got the bone attached, so you get that, you know, that bone flavor once you get there closer to it. Then a Lions Farm New York strip. Stuff is incredibly tender, and this marinade with the acid from the sherry vinegar and lemon is just going to go right into this steak. I would not put beef in this marinade very long.
Really?
Hour max, because it's really the acid will make it just soak right in.
Yeah, 'cause it's
a
real
pork
tender.
chop, a little bit different, but you hate to kill the flavor of a good piece of beef. You know, you really want to taste that too.
Hey, speaking of that, grain versus what's the difference? Grain versus grass?
Of course, what the ingredient the cow is eating, whether it's either corn or grass-fed, whether it's, you know, in the pasture, but it's basically the characteristics of what the beef takes on that makes what I think grain-fed better. You take on more fat, therefore you have more marbling, which is the tiny specks in your meat.
Yeah.
And of course, the fat gives you flavor, and
Well, yeah,
that's
right.
what I prefer. I mean, there's a lot of people that prefer the grass flavor. I think the grass flavor has a gamier flavor.
Okay,
texture to
all
it.
right.
Now this marinade is a little bit loose by the amounts that I did, just kind of whipping it together. The ones on the recipe will be nice and tight, but I usually just kind of dip the meat in there instead of, you know, submerging it totally. Or if you guys have one of those food saver bags, a Cryovac bag, that's always a great way to do it because it kind of creates some suction and makes sure that the marinade soaks right into the meat. So we'll just grill these up. You guys will see what I mean by that, you know, earthy, smoky
fabulous.
flavor.
Okay.
Marinade on the beef. I put my beef and the pork in the same pan. A lot of people will be like, oh, he's cross-contaminating, but for the purposes of TV, I'm just putting it in there. If you guys at home want to be separate, that's fine. It's probably the safer way to do it. But anyway, Mark, you got any good grilling tips? Anything that you think is good?
Well, like we were talking about earlier, I think, especially on the pork, a lot of people tend to get their pork overcooked, thinking, you know, back in the years ago, trichinosis, but I don't think there's been a trichinosis case in 80
Way
years, if
over.
not
It's like
longer.
1960 was the last
Yeah,
case.
it's been a long time. So,
Right.
you know, you get a nice juicy pork. And pork nowadays, unless you get into your Berkshire breeds and stuff, tend to be a little bit leaner, so you definitely don't want to overcook them. Because,
That's right.
and that's one good thing about the marinade, too, that will help keep it juicy.
Keep it juicy.
It will, and I don't know if you guys can actually get a whiff of this. That was only in there for just a couple minutes.
Oh, that smells great.
But actually, you're kind of getting this smoky, nutty, almost sweet
you're
tendencies
right.
from it. And that was just like 3 minutes in there. Now, normally I put that in there for an hour for the beef, about 4 hours for the pork, because I really like the taste of the pork, because it really submerges, it makes it sweet and smoky. But my biggest grilling tip when it comes to grilling is on a grill like this, you know, that Dinger's has, this thing does it by itself. People like to play with their food too much on the grill. You know, the infamous dad's always, you know,
always wanted
messing
to-
around, and just let it sit and let it cook, you know, every couple of minutes, give it a quarter
That's
turn.
what dads are not known for that, right?
Exactly. So,
You put it on there and you have a couple cocktails and you turn it. And
yeah. That's kind of how it works.
And don't forget those
one thing I saw
cocktails.
Jeremy do, and I don't have a scientific reason for that, I like to bring my meat up to room temperature and set it out for about an hour.
That's one of the best tips of all. It
And
just
why?
much more even cooking.
Yeah, for even cooking.
Especially if you're like us, you know, beef, I want mine rare to medium rare
Sure.
at best, just because I like the flavor of beef and it's good. And if you let it come to room temperature, you know, the outside, or if you don't let it come to room temperature, the inside's just ice cold. Whereas room temperature, it just kind of cooks more evenly. You get a much better distribution.
I hadn't thought about that.
So I didn't mess with the meat too much. I would give it a quarter turn, but I just want to show you guys the caramelization.
Oh,
After just a
gosh.
couple minutes with that.
That
See
looked good.
like the black kind of crust on there? And that was, you know, hardly any time in the marinade. See how that is too?
Oh, that's wonderful.
So not only is it a very awesome hot grill from Dinger's, but that marinade just soaks right in and burns right out. You get this awesome crust on
that
the outside.
flavor, I
it's
bet,
good.
is to die for.
One thing you see a lot of people do, they'll go in there and they'll cut it open to see if it's cooked.
Yeah,
But you're
I do
losing all
that.
your juices
Yeah.
that, you know, like he's searing it here, it sucks in, keeps all that juice in there. But if
Don't
you cut
do it.
into it, you're going to lose it. You take a hamburger, go to a hamburger and you're smashing it down, you're losing all
Do
that juice.
That's right.
So that's what gives you the flavor, is that fat and that juice.
That's right. So anyway, I would do quarter turns, but for the sake of TV, we're just going to flip these like I did. Close the lid.
Let
You
it-
know, just let it, you know, kind of cook, and that's it. We'll come back in a few minutes and take it off and
Sounds
see what you
good.
guys think.
All right.
Okay, guys. We went and took the steak off the grill, put it on the plate, let it kind of chill out for a little while. And there's something to that, right? We always like to.
Both before and after.
Yeah, we said we like to let the meat come to room temperature, very important. Then also, after it comes off the grill,
Let it rest,
it's
yeah.
called let it rest. And you know, for a steak this size, at least about 10 minutes is good. And then, but if you have a big, large roast like a prime rib, it'd be good to keep it around for about a half hour.
Now, our mouths are watering here
Yeah,
as we're
I know, it
standing
smells
here. But tell
great.
us a little bit about, we know the drought is affecting meat prices. Tell us about what people can do when they're actually going into your store to buy their steaks or
Well,
buy their whatever.
Of course, the demand at this time of year is on your tenderloins, your filet mignon, your T-bone steaks, your strips. But you can still get a nice steak without, you know, breaking the pocketbook. You have flank steaks or London broils. Some people cook a thick cut
It just
top
depends on
round.
where it is on the animal.
On the animal,
Yeah.
on the animal, and the demand for that cut. But using a nice marinade like Jeremy's concocted
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
can really make those cuts really nice. Also, the beef tri-tips are really good on the grill. They're very popular out west, but growing more popularity here. Outside skirt, inside skirt, carne asada, you know, that's really popular.
Oh yeah.
And
great
those are-
grill
those
meat,
are
too.
Great grill meat, yeah.
And the thing is, they can come to Critchfield's and they can find out.
Sure.
Because they can talk to your butcher.
And some of your back, you know, what I call the offcuts, your tenderloin tips, where we cut center cut fillets, you get tenderloin tips, make nice shish kebabs, and your sirloin steaks are not quite as expensive as your New York strips. They're
Sorry to
still-
eat while you're talking, but I couldn't resist.
Another good tip, you're talking about letting the steak rest. After Dad cooks it, let him rest a little bit too, you know.
Oh, that is good. That is delicious.
You're really good.
All right, you've been with Food News and Chews today, and thank you, both of you, for great food we're going to eat.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.